welcome. Anyways, Happy New Year, everybody. And with the new year coming in, Netflix has added a bunch of new movies and stuff to their discography of content on the wonderful streaming site. And one of those things were the John Wick series. Not the fourth one. Why? I have no idea. I can't imagine who was the dumbass who decided to clear the first three and not the fourth one. But here we are. In a world of dumbassery, it still prevails. Sorry about that. I had to step away for just a moment because if the Christmas tree didn't come down at this minute, at this exact hour, there was plausibility that like Santa might get cancer next year. So it just had to get done right now. Anyway, now that I have fucking pine needle scratches all over my arms, back to what I was talking about. John Wick. I like doing these movie reviews and these media reviews because we don't talk about it enough on the podcast. The show is more comedy and sports analytic, St. Louis sports, world combat sports views. In this case, we're talking a lot about media. In my sense, that I like making these videos. It's media, it's movies, it's fiction, and that's what I like talking about because I'm a big fan of movies. I'm a big movie buff. I'm a big music buff. One of the greatest movie series that have come out in the last 10 years, I would say. Consistently perfect or great for movie 1, 2, 3, and then the quadrilogy with 4 was the movies that we're talking about today, and that would be the John Wick series. Everybody knows what John Wick 1 produced and how iconic of a movie that it ended up creating. And we're talking about, in most senses, just a brilliant film. Keanu Reeves coming back and playing a retired hitman in a movie that's budget wasn't exactly massive. And it's a genre that we know of, you know, badass, retired, hitman, ex-military, you know, ex-cop. We've seen it a lot in the Taken movies with Liam Neeson. We've seen it in the Bourne movies with Jason Bourne and Matt Damon. So it's a topic, it's a concept that we're very aware of. In this case, it's Keanu Reeves playing an ex-hitman. Is in the part of his life where it takes place right after his wife passed away. And what the directors and the writers of this movie do very well is that, yeah, we know John, and we know of how other people see him, how dangerous we hear that he could be. But his wife gifts him a very, very, very cute puppy. And with the directors and I'm wearing the long glasses, right? No, I'm not. Fuck. Anyways, the directors and the writers of this film, what they do is they give John a puppy, and the puppy is killed by a punk-ass jackass of a kid. And the Russian mob, or whatever, I don't know. They're not a mob, but they're all in the same underground hitman world, assassin world territory. So now you have Keanu Reeves, who's an actor that everybody pretty much loves. Everybody loves Keanu Reeves. How could you not love Keanu Reeves? And you have a motive for him where the audience can get behind it. They kill the puppy. We love puppies, and that's a giant sin in movies. You don't kill puppies. And what you see that what John Wick did, in my opinion, better than the Taken Liam Neeson series, better than the Bourne Legacy and Jason Bourne series, better than all these, different type of action one versus everybody series. They get the action incredibly just. And it becomes a staple. John Wick becomes a staple as he unleashes violent ass-kicking sprees of just murder on every one of these people that we hate. It's a very simple storytelling thing. It's not done that often. The Last of Us 2 did it in a similar way, but really dog-shitty, asinine, cop-outy kind of way. John Wick did it correctly. You care about John and you hate these antagonists, and that's all you really need to know. John doesn't have much of a character arc, even in this movie or throughout any of the other movies that follow. He is literally just ass-kicking assassin machine. And you know that he loves and he cares about his wife. He has a moral code that you seem to understand. And it's just enough where you can get behind him and you want him to live because his puppy died. They explore the criminal underground a little bit in the first movie, but by this point in the film, I'd imagine, or while they were filming this movie, they had no idea that what it could become or how popular the John Wick movie would become. So while you get glimpses of that assassin underground, what you end up getting as well is something more. You get in this first movie a grounded story with more story to tell with the Continental and the high table and all that shit. And you get a grounded story, has I guess a happy ending where the protagonist succeeds, gets a new dog, and moves on. And this movie did so well that they were able to do a second one where they're able to expand on the high table and the assassin underground and what the consequences of the first movie bring into the second one, but while also bringing forth into the second movie an expansion and an improvement on the original movie in the groundwork of it, and that was the consistently fantastic and amazing action and John as a character and the plot. They start introducing new high table characters that you can get behind, that you actually kind of, they're fun and they're interesting. Winston comes back, the Continental. You find out that the Continental is not just New York. The high table is everywhere. It's all around the world. The antagonist does something to John. It's not as far, you don't hate this guy as much as you hated the antagonist of the first film. He blows up John's house, but it's consequences of John's actions. And this movie's about consequences. And the third one does that again, and it improves and it dives better on it again. By the end of the second movie, John kills his antagonist on Continental grounds. We establish the world at this point. We know that killing somebody on Continental grounds, the consequences that would bring, and that is further driven into John Wick 3, where now you are at a full understanding of this world, and you're now really understanding how fucking dangerous this is. John is beat up, he's hurt, he's running for his life because he is excommunicado. Every assassin on the planet is against him. And they built this movie up at the end of the second movie, as you understand what the third movie is going to kind of be about, and how, in between the second and third movie, you're sitting around as an audience member wondering, how is John going to deal with this in the third movie? And yeah, I would say that the third movie is probably the weakest out of the quadrilogy, in my opinion. But it's still great. It's still phenomenal how Keanu Reeves is able to do what he does in these films. I have no idea. I think what people are upset about this movie more than the other two is that the plot is a little bit weaker, but I think it's still really good, and I really love it still. The action is still great. They improve on it. What we love about John Wick, the groundwork. The groundwork is the same. It's steady improvements. The exterior is a little bit different. They do that so well, continuously, every movie. By the end of the third movie, John, he is betrayed by Winston. The high table is after him, and now it sets itself up for even higher stakes. How will John overcome the high table? We're setting itself up for high table John Wick World War III in the fourth movie, and I thought that they were building towards a fifth one, but what we ended up getting in John Wick 4 was that Endgame Infinity War type, deal. And in my opinion, John Wick 4 is the perfect conclusion, and it's actually my favorite of the franchise, just because where in John Wick 3, you couldn't think they pushed the action in that groundwork even more than they already did in the first and the second, and then the third one, you thought that was as high as they would go. I couldn't believe it. John Wick 4 has some of the greatest action scenes in cinema history. That's not an exaggeration. It's actually incredible how they were able to do it, and I love it. They bring in side characters, ones that you'll be able to see again. I think that I think they're considering John Wick 5. They left the fourth one as, you know, a little open-ended, to see what happens, and maybe they'll do John Wick 5. But these movies kick the shit out of Keanu Reeves, who's almost 60, so, you know, who knows if he really is going to do it again. I would love if they did it again, because it's just a little bit open-ended. It's kind of definitive, but there's like a 10%, you know, they can wiggle themselves. It's John Wick. You understand that John Wick can wiggle himself out of anything at this point. But they build on the action in such an incredible way. It's fucking insane. Anyway, they're bringing forth the side characters that they're going to be doing spin-offs with. The Continental series was already announced, something to be extremely excited about. Yeah, John ends up, you know, dying by the end of the fourth movie, which is something I wasn't crazy about writing-wise, because I was like, you know, the whole point of the movie is or the whole point of the series is he's trying to stay alive so he can remember his wife. But him dying at the end and it being as open-ended where it could be that Winston, you know, buried John and so the High Table will never come after him again. I think that's a good ending. At least the High Table think he's dead, and you know, it kind of wraps up John Wick, his character, but it relieves fourth room to come back if they ever did. But this is a definitive end, and I love it. Anyways, the John Wick series, it's absolutely perfect. If you haven't checked it out, check it out now, and I can't wait to, you know, talk in the next video. Like this video, subscribe to the page. It helps a lot more than you can know. Hopefully we can continue to do this. And yeah, peace, love. I'll see you all in the next one. Adios. Bye.